Hey guys, welcome to our Linux tutorial. I'm CJ and we're going to go over some Linux commands. So first off, we got ls. ls just lists everything in the directory, but it's got a little quirks to it. It's got some cool stuff, and if we want to see that, we could do dash dash help along with it, and we get to see this large sum of things we can do with it. Now, I'm not going to go over everything we could do with it because it's a lot. But I'm going to go over some stuff that I think is helpful. So we're going to type in clear here so we can clear the screen, and we can go over the first flag. ls-l is used for knowing the permissions and what users is in control of this folder, and it gets you the size of it and the timestamp. So that's pretty useful when you're trying to figure out maybe permissions for your public underscore HTML folder, so you don't put things in there that don't belong, or you don't make folders that are unaccessible by anybody or accessible by everybody, because that is a problem. Next, we have ls-lh, which just gives you more of a human version of it. It just tells you that a little bit more. As you can see, 4.0K, that's just the size of it. Instead of giving it in bytes, it gives it in kilobytes. So that's pretty neat. Okay, now we're going to go over Mkdir and Chow Mod. Now these two commands do go hand in hand once in a while, so it's best to kind of know what's going on with permissions for when we're making directories. And Mkdir does stand for make directory, so Mkdir, we're going to make a folder called tutorial, and this is a multi argument command, so we can type as many folders as we want. We want tutorial 2, we want tutorial 3, tutorial 4, doesn't matter, as many as we want here. So we're going to hit the enter on that, and ls shows we have two folders named tutorial and tutorial 2. Now we're going to move on to Chow Mod. Chow Mod is a little bit confusing at first, but once you kind of get the hang of it, it's pretty straightforward. There is codes for it. I will leave a file in the description or a website in the description that gives you kind of a rundown of all the commands for it, because there is a lot. But I'm just going to give you the general ones you're probably going to be using. Now, ChowMod 777 means that anybody can access read, write, execute out of this folder. So we're just going to put that on the tutorial file or directory, and we'll hit enter. And that means basically that anybody can go in and do whatever in tutorials. So if I come in and I log on this system, I can just pop in and say, hey, and I can read, write, execute files. Doesn't matter who you are. Doesn't matter if you're an anonymous user. You could do whatever in that folder. ChowMod 770. Now, this makes it so only members in your group. Now, Linux has groups just like kind of Windows does with the domains and stuff like that. I wouldn't worry about this one too much because unless you're making groups in Linux, but we're going to put this on tutorial. And if we want, we can do ChowMod 755. Now, this is nice. So the 7 in here, the 3-digit code, the first digit is going to be your access. Now, 7 stands for read, write, and execute. It's the highest one on the tier list for ChowMod. 5 only means we can read and execute. So these two numbers, this is for groups, and this is for anonymous users that come in on your Linux system. So if we hit that, and that just means, we can access read, write, execute, and everyone else can only read and execute. So that's good for security. Definitely in a system admin environment or anything. Next, we have copy and move. Copy and move are pretty straightforward commands. They're not too dissimilar from each other. The syntax for them is actually pretty similar. So let's get started. So we're going to type CP, and we're going to type something to copy to. So CP, and I want to copy 1.txt into tuna. Now I'm going to hit enter, ls, and we're going to cd into tuna, bada bing, bada boom, we got 1.txt. Tuna's got its 1.txt. Now, I do want to talk about CD for just a quick moment. CD dot dot is really nice. It lets you go back to your last directory in the file structure. So if I CD back into Tuna and I'm like, oh no, I wanted to go back to my parent directory, I could just type CD dot dot and go back. Now what happens if I'm CD'd into something crazy? Something like, I'm 10 directories deep and I'm like, I want to go home. Well, we can use the tilde and we go right home. So now I'm in my home. So that's a little speech about CD, little fun things we can do. And CD just stands for change directory if you didn't know that. Now we're going to talk about move. Move is very similar. It's just MV. I'm actually going to type ls so I can move a certain file. So I want to move 2.txt into Tuna. So we're going to move that, type ls, bada bing, 2.txt is gone. We're going to go into Tuna, ls, and boom, 2.txt is in there. Now there is something fun you can do with move. You can actually rename things. So a lot of times in Linux we're like, oh no, I named something the wrong way. How do I rename it? We can do it through a GUI like FileZilla or something along that lines, or we can do it from a command line. So what we do is we take the file 1.txt and we're going to name it tuna.txt like this. It seems a little weird because this is supposed to be the source directory and this is supposed to be the destination. It is a little clunky, I will admit, but it does work. So now we have tuna.txt and 1.txt no longer exists. And all the contents that were in 1.txt are now in tuna.txt. But there is no content in tuna.txt because I didn't write anything in there. So next we're going to go over touch. Touch is just a command that we use when we want to make another file. So if I want to make another file called lollipop.txt, bada bing, bada boom, we got lollipop.txt made in there. Now, just because we made a file doesn't make it that interesting. But let's write to it. And we could use that with a plethora of text editors, but my favorite one and easiest to use and what I think is nano. So we're going to type nano lollipop.txt. I just hit tab so it would autocomplete. Just know you can do that with certain systems if they have tab autocomplete. I'm going to hit enter and it's going to bring me up to this screen. Now don't be worried about stuff at the bottom. Those are just commands you can learn over time and stuff like that. The one we're going to be worried about is Control X. So I'm going to type something, blah, blah, blah. Then I'm going to hit Control X. It's going to ask me, hey, do you want to save this? And I'll be like, yes, I just typed it. And right now it comes up at the bottom, says, hey, do you want to write it to this file? And right here we have an opportunity to rename it. But since I like the name lollipop.txt, I'm just going to hit enter. Now we've written the file, but now I want to read inside of it. And I don't want to read inside of it with nano because I don't want to go into that screen. I just want to read it right on the terminal. And a command we can use is called cat. And we can type lollipop.txt. Once again, I hit tab to autocomplete it. And we're going to hit enter, and now we see what we typed in there is something blah, blah, blah. Some other miscellaneous commands are out there. If you missed them in this tutorial, or if you saw something, you're like, I wanted to learn this, but it isn't in here, just message us on Discord, and we'll make some videos going over it. Yeah, take care, guys, and stay safe.